Jana, oh, we're talking about taking time off in December today and
Hmm.
planning to take time off and how we do that so we can actually step away from our businesses and it not completely collapse from out from under us.
Right. And also, specifically how we're planning. I mean, I intend to talk about how I'm planning to take time off in December,
Mhm.
without losing revenue.
Correct. That's what I want to talk about as well.
Yep. So that's what I did that last year. I think I did it the year before as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
usually take around 2 weeks off at least.
mhm.
And if I don't take um time off, like if I'm still working in the business, I'm never working on anything that's client facing or student facing. It's always like back end stuff. Like I
Yep.
want to fix this funnel or I want to change this thing or
Hmm.
like it's just little things. Because I will say I have a really hard time just as a general human being in the world with the way that my brain works, just completely disconnecting from everything that I love and not touching it.
Right. I know. I do too. And I think that's why I need to.
Yeah. So I
Um,
do force myself to take time off. I do force myself to take about a week off completely and disconnect. So I don't know how we wanted to structure this conversation today, but uh,
I think like we're going to get to specific tactics and strategies that we're both using, but I like this idea of kind of defining what it means to take December off for you
yeah.
and me, because it gives people who are listening here live now or on the replay later an idea that there's sort of a continuum, right? Like it doesn't have to be take the entire month off. It doesn't have to be take the month off, but also like literally never go to your laptop. There's lots of like sort of different ways that that can show up. And
Mhm.
every year I take time off in December and I don't always know what that's going to look like until I do it.
Yeah.
But I do make a commitment to myself every year to take like a length of time off that is completely away from my business. The way I tend to do that, because I'm the same as you, it's really hard not to do that, is I plan at least a week where like I have a bunch of other things that I'm doing that are nothing to do with my business so that I'm at least like, somewhat distracted by that. So
Mhm.
I find like the week, depending on where Christmas falls, and we're Jewish, so we don't actually celebrate Christmas, but still
Yep.
it's significant in terms of like planning for a lot of my clients and students who, do celebrate it. And my Jewish clients and students or non-Christians who plan the way we do and kind of take time off at that time, right? And it's
Yeah.
weird because like sometimes Hanukkah falls at that time, sometimes it doesn't. And also just for anyone who's curious, like Hanukkah doesn't, it's not quite as a big deal as Christmas is, you know what I mean? So it's interesting. But point is, I find it easy to take time off from my business and knowing that no one's really expecting anything from me. And that
Yeah.
some of that's probably left over from my done for you service provider days, at that time between Christmas and New Year's. And so I try to kind of go back as far as I can, like definitely take that whole week.
Hmm.
But then also, like, usually, depending on what day of the week Christmas falls, or usually like a few days prior to that, where everybody kind of knows things are going to get really quiet. So I always start like now, part of my planning to take that time off is actually thinking, what do I want to do during that time? I want to get massages. I want to work out more than usual. Maybe try different classes at my, gym that I haven't tried before. I'm gonna go get like a new makeup, thing done at Jones Road. Just like think like that's on my list so far. And so I just wanted to mention that that's one if people are listening and they have a hard time like you and I do, that's one way you can kind of do it. So, but we're gonna get into the specifics of like what we're doing in our businesses to get ready for that time off. But that's how I kind of force myself to do it. I traveled one year to you guys to Arizona. That was a great way to
Yeah.
do it. If I can book a little travel or book someone to come here and travel and hang out with me during that time. Uh, those are the things I try to like stick stuff in there so I
Yeah.
won't be tempted.
Yeah. So normally for December, we're the last few years we've been really busy because we've been doing home projects.
Yeah, that's a good way to
So I'm kind of forced
unplug.
to take that time off. But this December, we won't have home projects because I told my husband last December I will not have another December where we're just hustling and building and destroying and demolishing and laying tile or floor or whatever ever again. Like
That's stressful
I just
too.
I don't want to do that in December during the holidays because A, it makes our living space like less inhabitable
Yeah.
because we're demolishing things and it's Christmas time. So that it kind of puts a strain on everyone. So we're not doing that this year. Instead, my plan was to just have the time off that I want off, and I would be, with the kids, doing activities for the kids, or we'll go camping
Yeah.
because in Arizona in December, it's gorgeous camping weather.
Yeah. And
Um,
maybe, I don't want to like dwell on this because this is probably not the part that people are excited to hear about, but maybe, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are like, oh my God, tell me how to take time off without like freaking out and constantly be walking back to my laptop. I know it's like I'll be at home and I'll literally like all of a sudden it's like when you're driving and you don't know how you got there and you're like, geez, I wasn't paying attention to how I got here or whatever. I'll just like find myself sitting at my laptop, I'm like, no. But maybe, you could ask the kids, like, is there something that you guys want to do during that time? Is there like a local, I don't know, rock climbing place or whatever, right? That's probably like kind of expensive, but are there some things you can like lock in and maybe even prepay so you have to do them, you know what I mean, to get yourself away
yeah,
from your laptop, right? Like I literally look for things like that, and start making a list early to make sure that I have things like that locked in so that I will have at least some time in December where I'm forced. And once I'm doing it, it's great, right? But
yeah.
so, okay, I'll stop with that.
Yeah, no, I don't like we don't really have a lot of plans just yet because things for us right now personally are kind of up in the air.
Mm.
We have a family caregiver situation that appears to be forming at this moment in time.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks to me like that might be happening in December. And if that happens in
Mm.
December, then it won't be me doing the caregiving. It, my husband will be really busy wrapped up in that, and then
Yeah.
also the end of the semester for school. So I really quite literally won't have an excuse to try and find work to do because I'm gonna have
Yeah.
meals to prep,
Right.
Christmas stuff to take care of, the kids, but also, and like most people don't know this, we have three big events that happen for us every year in December. My husband and I got married. This is our 15th wedding anniversary. My birthday,
Wow, 15. Yeah.
and then my obviously Christmas,
Hmm.
but also I always do a little celebration for myself every year in December because I graduated college in December.
Nice.
And gosh, this year will be like 12 years since I graduated college. So I always do
Hmm.
like a little cupcake, like congratulations for
Oh, I
all
love
of that
that.
debt that you got into, but also you're getting your college degree. So
Hmm.
December is always super, super busy for us, whether we're doing, all those things and home decor or home projects or whatever. But yeah, this
Hmm.
year I'm hoping it's a little calmer. Maybe I can read some more books
Yeah.
that I wanted to
Mm.
read.
That's a good idea.
Um,
Hmm.
I'm gonna probably still be working on home projects and planning, but not doing the home projects.
Right.
Although, depending on the caregiver situation, we might need to remodel um, some of the placement of some of our decor because we're gonna need another bed.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
Talk to you more about that offline.
yeah, so yeah, I think it just takes, like what you said, you just need to be thinking forward of what you plan on having in that time frame.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to default to work if you're anything like us.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
just be really honest with yourself and allow yourself to have a little bit of a dreaming period. Like, can you
Mm.
afford to take extra classes? Can you afford to do this activity or that activity? Like, can you
Yep.
set some money aside to do those things? Because I mean, the holiday season for a lot of people is already a little financially stretched because it's the holidays. But if you
Yeah.
can find maybe free activities or some lower cost activities or buy them now, you get a discount on tickets or whatever it is.
Mm.
Be thinking about those things and allow yourself, if it's possible for you to have that time filled.
Hmm. Yep. Yep, definitely. All right, let's talk about so what we start doing like around this time now, September 25th, because there's 2 months left, basically 2 months to prepare if you want to take
Mhm.
time off in December and be ready with your plan and have everything done by December 1st to be able to take long stretches off in December. So yeah, so that's my goal. And it's interesting for me too, because and I think everybody's like this. I also do have time off in November. So I'm kind of planning for both really right now. I don't have as much time off in November, but there will be some time because we have a trip planned. And then there's of course the week of like Thanksgiving, which is always family time for us.
Yes.
So yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about your plan or do you want me to kind of launch into mine first? What do you want to do?
You can start with yours.
Okay. Let me pull up my notes because I did make some notes on this. I actually, these are my basically my notes for myself for, for this project and getting ready. Sorry, my WhatsApp is open because I'm looking at my notes. So I just am hearing little dings. Okay, so I kind of think about what I'm getting ready, what I'm doing to get ready in like three categories in my business. So the delivery part of what I do. So what needs to still get done just during December when I'm taking time off to support my current students and my current clients, right? And
Hmm.
then the second part is marketing and visibility. So what do I want to do now over the next couple of months to make sure that my marketing and visibility doesn't come to a screeching halt during December just because I'm taking time away? And then the second thing or the third thing I think about, and this is just sort of, it's not really like a category in my business. It's more about like what automated things do I have in place already to support both of those goals, right? Or both of those things. So briefly, I'll say that like, and we can talk about anything that it sounds interesting to you, or if anyone, I know we're at a different time today, so we might not have many people live, but if anyone is listening live and has questions, you can always drop them in our chat. Um, so for delivery, basically, I'm earmarking days to support my students. So even though I'm planning to have a very light December and take at least the last like 2 weeks, off almost entirely, as I mentioned earlier, even during time where I'm off for a stretch, I'll still pick like one day, maybe 2 days to have a half a day where I am going in and doing the crucial things needed to support my students and clients. So for me, that means going into the high leverage content student only Facebook group and seeing what people need support with. Um, if I have any one-to-one coaching clients at that time, which I plan to, we won't have any times like actual calls scheduled during that time. But if they are needing, any kind of support that is part of that container, that during that time, I would be doing that. Generally speaking, it's important to it works well as long as you set expectations with people, obviously, that like, that you're going to be away for that time and they know way in advance, right? And usually most people are doing that themselves as well. So it usually works out pretty well. And then I will pre-schedule all of the Facebook group prompts for the student only HLC group, make sure that those are going all the way through December. And then I'm going to also make sure I take time to block my calendar off properly and very intentionally. And
Hmm.
this takes some time and planning. And I think it's kind of obvious. People know, like, okay, well, block off your calendar so no one can book times with you during that time you want to be away. But it's also like going into separate calendars that I have and making adjustments and really thinking like, okay, when are the times that I do want to be available for like anything that is like an emergency or not emergency, but urgent. I don't think there's anything that's really an emergency in what we do. So just being really intentional about that process. Maybe I'll just like pause here and I don't know if you want to organize your thoughts into this kind of categories too, like delivery versus marketing and visibility. Are there things that you're doing to get ready for the delivery part in your business while you're
Yeah,
taking time
so
off?
I have a little bit more delivery than you do, I think, because I have the entire client side of my business, and then I
Right.
also have the course side of my business. So what I'm doing this year for delivery is I've already blocked off the entire month of December, so no one can actually book any calls with me at all
Okay.
from any calendar ever.
Hmm.
That's that allows me then to set expectations now with my community and with my clients that I will
Mm,
not be available for support in December at all.
right.
If they, especially not on video, but if they need support in Slack or email, I can manage that, but I won't be available for calls.
Right. And telling them in advance gives them the opportunity. Like if something comes up and they really need to have a conversation with you, they should
Mhm.
book that toward the end of November or right before you take that time off. Go ahead.
So that spins me into prepping and planning. prepping and planning. I love when I make myself laugh. That was so genuine, guys. Um, for the days that I'm going to need to be getting work done between now and then. So I'm actually blocking those days in now.
Right.
Now, I have worked really hard this year, and I can't tell you how, I cannot begin to explain to you guys how difficult it is to get your clients onto a system where they are approving content and designs and plans a month in advance. You
Mm,
guys, I have worked on this so hard this year and it has been such a challenge. But as of today, all of my clients are 1 month ahead on everything. So we're
nice.
already publishing all of the October content this month, like this week.
Great.
So that actually, because I have done that work all year of herding these cats, I have allowed myself to walk into to December ready for January.
I was just gonna say because okay, but that makes it so that like you actually kind of have to be 2 months in advance to take a month off, right?
Exactly.
Because you can't be working during December to get January stuff together. So you have to be scheduling everything for your clients for December and January before December 1st.
Exactly. Now,
Okay.
here's the kicker.
Hmm.
Because a lot of our clients don't use a paid scheduling tool, we can't schedule their January content until the end of December. But my
Oh,
part of
right.
it is
Because
already
we're
done.
talking about Pinterest. Pinterest.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
talking
Yep.
about Pinterest.
Okay.
Because my part is already done come December.
Hmm.
I don't have to do a whole lot when it comes to the client delivery part when as
Yep.
January rolls around. So
Right.
even in
So,
December, because I've
yep.
done my part of the work ahead.
Right.
So what I'm doing right now is October will begin November's content, but we're also going to begin December's content. So then in
Hmm.
November, I can start January's content because I let my clients know in October I'm not planning on working in December at all.
Yep.
They are already aware I'm going to be working on January's pin plans and
Yep.
content for them to approve before December 1st. So that way my team in December can actually work on January's content and get it scheduled because
Got
I'm
it.
not working, but my team might be working.
Right. Okay.
So those are the things I wanted to add.
Yeah, that's good. And so I just for anybody who might be listening now or later on the replay who's here and not as familiar with Pinterest, the Pinterest native scheduler, which is great, which a lot of us as Pinterest strategists and managers use and for our own accounts, is the native scheduler is great. It gives you the ability to schedule up to 30 days in advance. So if you want to schedule more than that, you either need to have a third party scheduler, and Heather has a whole um, YouTube series all about like reviewing different schedulers and which ones, you need if you need one at all that kind of stuff. Or you need to have some kind of system like this where there are team members who are working during December, and maybe those people are people who prefer to take time off in November, or,
Mhm.
even January. So that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and
Cool.
most of my contractors are contractors, so they set their own hours
Hmm.
anyways. And my
Right.
team, my current team I've had for 2 years.
Hmm.
Some of them have been with me a lot longer, but my current Pinterest delivery team
Yep.
has been with me for 2 years. So they are very familiar with working with each other's work habits. And I also think this is something that you guys just as business owners, if you have a team, you need to get accustomed to and identify as you're planning your time off, who's going to fill the gaps. So
Hmm.
one thing I forgot to mention, and you'd mentioned it, is earmarking days to support your students.
Hmm.
I don't know what that looks like for me just yet. Maybe in early December, I might have a couple of calls with my membership group, but I'm actually planning on hiring somebody from my membership group who is also a Pinterest manager to take over my calls in December
Oh, nice. As a co-coach. Hmm.
as a co-coach. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and contract her out and pay her
Hmm.
to host some of the Q&As in December. Because normally
Yeah.
in the years past, the membership's been a lot smaller. A lot of the students take time off in December anyways.
Hmm.
But as the membership has grown, as we have a more diverse population in there, not everyone's going to be taking time off
Hmm.
in December. Like you mentioned, some people might be Jewish or of other faiths.
Hmm.
So just having that ability to have someone come in maybe 2 times in the month of December,
Yep.
paying them for their time, and they can
Yeah.
host the calls for me.
Yeah. And that can be so valuable too on so many different levels, having other people's perspectives.
Mhm.
Because, I know you have some brilliant Pinterest managers and strategists in your audience. So all of the other members get to benefit from getting some support and strategy and different perspectives from an additional really smart person too. So that's just
Yep.
like a win-win-win for everybody. I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Shall we talk about marketing and visibility?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So for me, I'm just going to get really tactical here. My plan
Mhm.
is that I'm going to publish either one or two new blog posts in November because I know I won't be publishing anything new in December, blog post wise. And with my strategy anyway, I teach blogging in high leverage content, not really blogging per se as a blogger, but how to have a blog that converts your audience to clients as a
Yeah.
coach or a service provider, which is different than being a blogger.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't focus in my strategy on like volume or cadence of blogs anyway. So it's
Yeah.
not like, oh no, I'm going to miss December and not publish a blog. Like that's not a big deal because I just publish blog posts based on when I have something that I want to say that is one of the things that I know my audience needs to learn here or understand more deeply to be ready to buy. I create that piece of content and I post it so that A, it's there on my website for people to read anytime and I can reshare it over and over again. And B, I can use it now for repurposing, but also over and over at any time for easily repurposing that to other places as well. So
Yep.
it's not like I'm like, oh, I need to publish 2 blogs a month. And if I don't, then I have to do 4 in November. But I will plan on doing one in November. Mostly because the other parts of my getting ready for December uh do like do require like I don't want to say some new content because again, I'm just going to be repurposing, but it'll be nice to
Yeah.
have that new blog to do some repurposing from. So, and I already know what topic I want to talk about anyway, so I'm going to do that. And then the rest of like my work that I need to do before December so that I'm visible during December is going to be pre-scheduling threads. And I'm
Okay.
going to be basically repurposing the new blog post and then a few older ones as well to do all of my repurposing. So I'll repurpose and pre-schedule to threads. So I'll probably upgrade my Buffer account. Right now I don't pay for Buffer, but I probably will starting
I
in
love
December. You'll have
if
Buffer.
anyone is interested in scheduling for threads and wondering about
Mhm.
deliverability and reach. I've been using Buffer for threads for 2 months
Mhm.
and I adore it. I even use it for LinkedIn and I republish the same threads to LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And I'm actually starting to grow and get reach there too.
Awesome. So you don't think, just as a little tangent, it sounds like you are not feeling like scheduling through a third party software to threads is, and I don't care about LinkedIn, but to threads, you don't think it's reducing your reach, right?
No,
Yeah, I don't either when I'm using Buffer. So,
not yet at least. They will throttle it at some point because they throttled all third-party schedulers for other Meta apps, but
mhm.
for
But for
now
now,
it's
no.
fine.
Yeah. So I'll probably upgrade at least if for December, and maybe January as well. I can always downgrade again if I decide, not to for Buffer. Um, excuse me. And then um, I also probably during December will find some pockets of time. Not when I am like strict with myself about being off and getting my brain off my business, because that's when
Mhm.
I don't want to do this. But during those days where I have half a day earmarked to support my students, I might go in and find that it takes me 2 hours to reply to things for my students. And then I have another, little bit left, and I'll probably go in and do a lot of like do some sessions of engaging on threads because engagement is so important on
It
all
is.
social, but certainly on threads. So that's my plan for that. But I'm definitely going to be like far reducing my amount of um, engagement on threads. No, no, no questions. And I have no problem doing that because of some of the automation. And we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. So I'll do that. And I'm going to pre-schedule 3 posts per week on Instagram. And I'll be pre-scheduling all of my emails. Obviously, anybody who knows me knows I'm the email queen. So I'll have emails going out most days in December. And also December will be the beginning of it's crazy because I'm actually launching this week right now. Today's the last day as we're recording this of my waitlist launch. Tomorrow is what marks the beginning of 1 week of public launch. So I'm kind of in the middle of the launch overall. So it's
Yeah.
crazy crazy to hear myself saying this, but December will actually be the beginning of my next launch as well. I already have that planned out. So a lot of the emails that I'm going to be scheduling in October and November for December will be for the driving or the engagement period for the launch. So the cart's closed, which actually works out well because that means new students are not coming into the program at that time
Yep.
because new students, tend to have a lot of questions when they're first getting in and whatnot. But instead, almost all my emails during December will be sending people to the wait list for when we open again in January.
Yeah.
So that'll be the scoop for all the emails. And I know you and I both, this is really something we have in common, which is that if we're less visible in December, for example, because in order to be really visible on Threads, you have to do a lot of engaging, and I'm not going to be doing that in December, it's okay. And
Yeah.
one of the main reasons it's okay is because you and I have a lot of um, visibility that's already on autopilot. And
Yep.
for me, what that looks like is my webinar funnel and the automated webinar that I have that generates at least 4 or 5 leads for me onto my email list, like almost every day, 4 or 5 new people every day who subscribe to that on literal autopilot. Like I don't promote it actively, organically anymore at all. Really, all of the people opting into that are opting into that because they have found an entry point to it either and they've been driven there from Pinterest or Google, which are both search engines, which means that you don't have to post in real time on either of those.
Yeah.
I have pins on Pinterest that are legacy pins that are constantly driving people who are interested in Pinterest to my blog post, to my website, to my funnel. And the blog posts also drive people into that funnel. So that's all happening on autopilot. Same
Yep.
thing with Google. And then I have a welcome sequence with my emails so that anytime someone signs up for my emails, whether that's through my email series or they've just signed up for a lead magnet and they're through that series, they're getting automated emails from me to kind of like introduce them to, who I am and what I do and, why it matters to them. So all of that automation makes it so that I don't really care how visible I am in December. I'll do it a little bit, but I'm not concerned. So, and I would almost guarantee that what you're going to share about your plan for visibility in December is quite similar to mine.
I actually
So,
have not specific to visibility in December, but I have a video coming out titled Three Things I've Done to Grow My Business in 2024.
mm,
And one of the things that I've done this year to get really visible is showing up in other people's audiences
yeah.
and really tapping into other people's audiences. So you guys will have to wait to learn what those three things are until October 1st. Yeah,
Okay.
that's when the video comes out. So a week, not even a
Cool.
week. It comes out next week. But that is one of the ways that I'm going to be ensuring that I'm visible. And because I've done all the work already, it's just going to be going out. And I might
Right.
need to, depending on when publish dates happen, I might need to queue up emails. And that's part of my marketing and visibility work is, ensuring, like you said, I'm getting emails scheduled and all of that good stuff. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm working on YouTube content. So that's another whole beast. In November, I have to film all of December's content. So each week in December, and it's always been this way, and we've never been able to get it further ahead because editing YouTube videos is a really big feat. And
Yeah.
I have an editor.
Hmm.
Um, but still, like she has an entire workload, I have an entire workload. So we've never been able to get ahead and pre-schedule YouTube videos. It's just never happened for us. And I'm okay
Hmm.
with that.
Yeah.
What I do is pre-film them all
Oh
and get
God.
them to
Yeah.
her,
Right.
and then they drip out. So every week when a YouTube video comes out, I'm actually the one uploading it and pushing publish that
Right.
day. So
Right.
if you do watch this YouTube channel regularly, that's me. When I push that video out, you just got that
Yep.
notification Heather was working.
Right.
And I'm okay with that
Right.
because
It doesn't take long, right?
no, and I've already pre-written the emails for that
Yeah.
content. So I just have to literally just grab the URL and go back to the email and click edit, insert
Right.
it, and send it.
Right. So
So
that's
all of
another
that is,
situation where that's like similar to what you were saying before. You've already done your part because you filmed and everything.
mhm,
And then your editor is going to be doing the processing and getting that stuff back to you. And then you're editor is going to be doing the processing and getting that stuff back to you. And then your editor is going to be doing the processing and getting that stuff back to you. And then your editor is going to be doing the processing and getting that stuff back to you. And then your editor is going to be doing the processing and getting that stuff back to you. And then it
Yeah,
probably takes you maybe 20 minutes at the most
20 minutes if
to
that. It's
upload a new YouTube video. And you can do that on those days where you have siloed for time, that you are swinging
yeah.
back into your business for like critical tasks. Well,
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest with you guys, sometimes my videos don't go out on time during the holidays. I have had it to where they go out, I normally publish on a Tuesday. Last year, I think it was last year, it might have been the year before, we were on like Thursdays.
hmm
We were just behind, and it was because I was busy with
hmm
house projects.
Yep. And as
So
much
it
as
just,
I know it's good to be consistent on YouTube, you've been so consistent for so long, that it's not going to ding you the way it would ding like a new YouTube creator, by
no.
not being 100% consistent. So,
Now, there is one thing that I have to do in November of this year to prep for January. And I did this last year, and this was my pillar video on YouTube that drives the majority of the views for the year,
oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
like the majority of the engagement. That one video last year pushed me over 10,000 subscribers during the New Year week. And it just got a lot of visibility and a lot of reach. And that's my complete Pinterest strategy video that I do every year.
Yeah.
That video got me a lot of notice this year. That video
hmm
alone landed me brand partnerships. It landed me opportunities beyond my wildest dreams.
Oh my goodness.
So,
It's so interesting you say that because I was just thinking like, is it worth it to do that video because you want to take time off in December, but you've evaluated the trade-offs and it's well worth it. So it's going to
oh
be
yeah.
a priority for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and I think this might be the fourth year that I've done the video. I can't
hmm
remember exactly, but I know for sure I'm going to be doing that video in November. And that video takes me a lot of time to plan and prepare. Even though it's the same framework every single year, I literally pull up the same outline, I update it, and then I refilm it. But it takes me a
hmm
lot of time to film
Yeah.
because the video is about 30 minutes long. It's the longest video usually that goes on the YouTube
Right.
channel for the year, aside from the lives. So I do have to plan and prepare for that YouTube video, and that one will drop the very first Tuesday of January. And that's the key for last year, was making sure I dropped my YouTube video, that particular one, the first week of the year. So it was brand new,
Mm.
it was top of mind for everyone,
Yep.
and that just catapulted. So I'm
So
planning on doing that again.
two questions. Number one, when will you film that?
I'm going to film it in November,
Perfect.
and it'll be one of the very last videos in December that we publish, or the very first video in January that we publish. I have to look at the calendar to see how the
Yep.
year is going to shake out.
Yep.
Um, so yeah,
That's
that's
kind of my second question was going to be like, what do you need to do to make sure that it goes out that January, that first week of January, instead of getting behind and then doing all that work and then having it published January 12th and not get as much notice, right? But I think
yeah.
you kind of answered that. Basically, you need to be working on it in November and then filming it in November, getting it in the can and getting it to your editor in time
Mhm.
so that she gets it ready for December so that you can publish it in January.
Yep.
Okay. So good.
So good.
And
So what do you
this
miss?
is all of this is like why we're talking about this now in September.
Mhm.
I felt funny when I uploaded I did like the thumbnail for this live a while ago, which reminds me I needed to schedule some things, but I'm launching this week, but I'll get to it. But I've been Heather sometimes does the scheduling and I've been doing some of it recently. So anyway, when I did that, I was like, I felt so funny, writing December on a thumbnail, but so much of the key to all of this is getting ready now,
Yeah.
so that you can take that time again without losing revenue. Because
Hmm.
listen, like it's not hard to just be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to take December off. Anything that's going on can wait until January. But if you do that and you haven't been planning all through October and November for that, you're probably going to lose revenue. I mean, not always, but probably.
Yeah.
You're going to miss out on opportunities like you just mentioned about that video that always does so well the first week of January. I probably, if I just threw my hands up, at the end of November and said, that's it, I'm taking December off. Anything that I haven't done can just wait. I wouldn't have all my driving and engagement launch emails going out, which means my launch in January wouldn't go as well. or I wouldn't, be able to do it, which obviously would mean lost revenue. So, getting started now, which is interesting actually, because next week, tomorrow, my public launch starts, and the theme of my public launch is actually about getting ready for January, because I do really believe strongly that um, a high revenue January is because of your visibility in Q4, like starting now. And I know a lot of people think like, oh, that's just like a what is it? Like a not a scarcity tactic. What is it? Like a urgency tactic or whatever.
Yeah.
But listen, like my business is proof, your business is proof. The things we do in Q4 set us up for a high revenue January. When I
Mhm.
was a done for you person, my January was always my highest revenue. I would sometimes, when I was doing done for you Pinterest setups, November would be slow, December would be a little slower because people are like, oh, I'll just wait till after the holidays. But that
Yeah.
whole time I was being visible. I was emailing, I was socialing, I was doing all the things, and I was building all that desire among people. And everyone's like, oh my God, I can't wait to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And then come January, like 4th, I would get like a flood of all the people who had been wanting to do it, like during like discovery calls. And then there was one January where during January, I booked out my done for you Pinterest setups through May.
I remember.
That was it. Like I was like, I got on a call with somebody. It was like the ninth or 10th person that I was on a discovery call with in January because of that momentum I had been building with all of my building demand and building trust content, in October and November and December. And got on that call with that person who was like, yeah, I'd love to work with you. You're a perfect fit. I know Pinterest could work for you. My next available date is in May. Do you want it? And she's like, yeah, I do. So yeah, anyway, I'm off on a tangent, but I just know that uh, you know, these great Januaries that we can have as coaches, as service providers, as
Mhm.
online experts of any kind, um, it happens because of what we do in Q4. So
So I want to pull something out really quick before we need to close out for this because I have another call I have to prep for, but I want to pull
sorry.
something out of what you just
I'm
said.
like talking your ear off. Yeah.
No, 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 no. I just looked at the clock. So something that service providers, not so much coaches, because I feel like that's just outside of the realm of what I want to talk about, and they may just be in a different phase of business and do things differently. I don't really know.
Mm.
Service providers specifically. So, speaking to the Pinterest managers or the social media managers that might want to take off the month of December and they are thinking about lost revenue. Um, they might be thinking to themselves, well, what do you do with the clients that want to work with you in December?
Yeah.
Quite literally, for 3 years in a row, I have told people, I am not available to onboard any clients in December, but we can start in January. Would you like to make a deposit now and we can get started in January? Not once has any of the clients that I've ever worked with and told this to said no.
Mm.
Not one.
Hmm.
That is something in your brain that's like, oh no, I'm going to lose out on money and clients and they're going to go to someone else. No, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Because they want you. If they've approached you and they want to work with you, they will wait.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% agree.
So you just need to position it in a way that it benefits them, right? I'm, I've already so and so planned, my December off. I'm going to be doing this and with family, and I'd really
Mm-hmm.
love to get your deposit um, on this invoice now, and then we can start on X date.
Hmm. Yeah.
And just make sure you're giving yourself room the first week of January after you've taken time off in December.
Mm-hmm.
And this could be if you take the first 2 weeks off in December and you work the second 2 weeks, whatever it is, that first
Mm-hmm.
week that you're back to work, no matter when that is, make sure you're building in time for yourself to figure out what's going on in your life and your
Right.
business, to clear out your inbox, to clear out
Right. To get
requests,
your brain back on into
to
the
get your
swing of
brain
things. Yeah.
back
Mm-hmm.
on. So if you do tell clients, I
Mm-hmm.
can't onboard you until January 4th,
Yep.
maybe actually bump that out a few days. So the
I
second
was
full week
I
of
was
January.
just gonna say that. I actually take the first week of January off as well. I consider that my December time off. And it's like that week is more, it's not totally off. Like I'll be at my computer, but I'm getting myself back into the swing of things. Yep.
Yeah, that's my admin time.
Yeah.
That's the time that I'm using to set myself up properly to make sure my
Mhm.
project management system is
Yep.
cleaned and ready to go.
You know what I just realized? That's also probably the time. Me too. That's exactly what I do. That's my admin week. I'm getting myself, exactly all those things. And it's the time when I pull the trigger on the people that were on my like my vision board for the service providers that I want to hire. So
Yeah.
that's usually the week where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm ready. And I go ahead and I put, I send money to, whoever's going to do something for me,
Yeah.
during February and whatnot. So, we're kind of like we're both it's both, we're both basically. We're
Yeah.
the payee and the payer too. So it's funny.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
So I think it just takes a little bit of forethought. It takes having conversations with your clients. It takes having boundaries with yourself.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it takes, planning.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. It takes planning. You can, like I said, you can take December off without planning, but it's not going to be a December off without losing revenue and opportunities.
Mhm.
And if you do, that's okay. It is. But if your goal is to take it off and not lose revenue and opportunities, right, then it takes planning. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep. And your business will continue to run without you as long as you have these conversations with your clients and your students or whoever else is in your realm.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe it means losing a little bit of revenue so you can take some time off and hiring someone to help you do some of your scheduling or whatever.
Totally.
That's okay too.
Just making those
Um,
decisions intentionally is really the goal.
really it is. And doing that forethought, having that forethought of what investments you might make at the end of the year, and not really waiting until January to make those investments can also be something that you do. So, Jana, for tax purposes, maybe you send that money in December instead of January.
Yeah, I don't usually, but I could.
Reduce your taxable income.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, like, for example, like I know I'll resign with my coach.
Yeah.
So in that case, like I'll be like, yeah, take my money in December. You know what I mean? You could pay the taxes on it.
Yeah,
And
you
she
can pay the
will
taxes and
gladly.
I'll
She
get the
will
tax
gladly. Like,
relief.
yeah. And I have had years where that whole thing I was talking about with Pinterest, like people would pay me in December because even though it's the holidays, they think that way
They're
too. So
thinking that way too.
it goes both ways for sure. But yeah.
Don't
All
take tax
right.
advice from us, guys. Go to your tax accountant and
Oh
ask
yeah.
them.
Yeah, we're not lawyers or
We're
accountants
not
or CPAs.
CPAs. We
We're
are
just
not licensed with anyone.
we're just smart business owners.
Exactly. Okay, well, we have, I don't know that we have any more lives scheduled right now, but we have some things in the works and no, Jana, please. Like it's also
Get on
me.
it.
Like, oh my gosh.
But we will be here next week at noon, Eastern time, almost every Wednesday at noon
Yeah.
Eastern time. We just don't know what we're talking about yet, but sometime very soon you'll see a schedule of our topics for the next several weeks.
Yeah. And we're
Mhm.
excited. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Bye.
Cool. All right. We're done. That was good.
If you did decide at